Welcome to Newsmax TV. I'm Kathleen Walter. With us now from Washington is Representative Ted Poe, Republican from Texas. And Representative Poe, great to see you again.
Good to talk to you as well, Kathleen.
Well, Senate leaders Harry Reid and Mitch McConnell have reached a bipartisan budget compromise. The plan reopens the government, funds it for 3 months, and raises the debt ceiling for almost 4 months. Could you vote to raise the nation's debt limit?
Not under this plan. The plan out of the Senate is missing the problem, and the problem is spending. And nowhere in this plan does it ever talk about spending cuts. All it does is give the administration a credit card with no ceiling until next year. I think that's really bad for the American public.
So you won't vote for this. Do you think such a plan could pass the House?
It will probably pass the House with a lot of Democrat support, and there may be some Republicans support it as well, but I will not be one of those voting for it.
Well, as I mentioned earlier, the plan reopens the government. It funds it for 3 months and raises the debt ceiling for almost 4 months. Who's to say that we do not end up in the same exact situation in 3 to 4 months from now that we've been in these past 3 weeks?
We're going to end up in the same place, exactly the same place. We'll have a continuing resolution issue. We will have the debt problem again, and all we're doing is postponing this situation until next year. We ought to deal with the issues right now rather than just move on down the road and try to do this all over again and go through all this crisis that the White House likes to talk about, and we'll be doing the same exact issues, dealing with them again next year.
Ted Cruz says he will not filibuster in the Senate. Do you think that he should?
Well, that's Ted Cruz's decision to make in the Senate, what he thinks is best for himself in the Senate. Over here in the House, I'll be voting no. I think most of the conservatives will vote no against this deal. And we'll find ourselves in the same situation that we're in currently, which is skyrocketing spending by government, no cuts in spending, and of course, the problem that we have economically will continue, but it'll continue until another day in January.
Kicking the can down the road, as they say. If the House does vote for this plan, Republicans won't end up getting what they wanted. I mean, looking back on these past few weeks, was fighting Obamacare a worthwhile fight?
Certainly, fighting Obamacare was a worthwhile fight. The House of Representatives is really responsible for starting the spending issues and appropriations. We certainly were wanting to open the government again, but the issue of Obamacare is a disaster for the country. That fight was important, and I think the whole American public is learning now how awful Obamacare is. It's unhealthy for the nation, and we cannot afford the Affordable Care Act. Plus, the administration can't even get their computers working. Just think about how the health care system will be if they can't even get the computers running. So we thought that fight, and I still think that fight, is worth having because of the fact that we turn over America's health to the federal government. Bad idea.
But aren't Republicans conceding right now? I mean, how do you feel about that?
Well, we sent over 3 different bills to the Senate regarding Obamacare and doing different things with Obamacare. We sent 19 appropriations bills funding specific portions of the government, which was our responsibility. And now what has occurred is the Senate, the siesta Senate, has decided we're not going to take these bills up, and for some reason blames the Republicans on shutting down the government and not raising the debt ceiling. The fault really lies with the U.S. Senate. But yes, the House is certainly conceding because we're not in that fight anymore.
Now, if this legislation does pass the House, it could end up on President Obama's desk as soon as today. A number of Republicans have told me they believe President Obama actually wanted the shutdown so that he could blame Republicans, so that Democrats could win back the House in 2014. What do you make of the president's leadership here, and how do you see this shutdown impacting the president and the Democrats politically moving forward?
Well, the president has no leadership on this issue, probably no leadership on many other issues that we could talk about. But the president's history, and if we go back and repeat all of the things the president has said when a problem, a crisis occurs in our country, whatever it is, he always blames someone else. He blames George Bush, he blames the Republicans. It's never his responsibility for the problem that we're in. When a problem is solved, however, he's quick to take credit where he's not even entitled to that credit. That has been his MO, but it has worked. It has convinced really a lot of Americans that it's not his fault, it's those Republicans' fault. It's a campaign issue. I don't think my opinion is it's all about politics. It has nothing to do with what's best for the country. When he takes that position, he's still in campaign mode. He does not assume the responsibility of being the leader of the United States. He lets the country just operate. When bad things happen, in his opinion, he blames Republicans. And as far as the next election, I don't know how that's going to play out. The Democrats will certainly campaign against Republicans and the policy of the Republicans of trying to cut spending. They'll campaign against that, and the president will too.
Last question for you, Representative. The Tea Party has been blamed for all the challenges facing the Republican Party, it seems, and also for the dissension within the ranks. Does today's outcome strengthen the Tea Party's resolve, or is the movement going away, as some political pundits predict?
Well, you're correct. I left out the Tea Party. The president does blame the Tea Party, Republicans, George Bush, and others for what he perceives are problems in the country. I think the Tea Party has a viable responsibility, and they're not going away, whether the president wants them to. And all the name calling that they get from day to day from different organizations, that's not going to deter them. Tea Party, I believe, is really concerned about what's doing best for the country. They're still going to remain vocal. They're going to be very viable and a part of the Republican establishment, in my opinion.
All right, Representative Ted Poe, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Kathleen.
And thank you for watching Newsmax TV.